To the sky I see, you can't see. I realize that you blind like he.
You blind, 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 blind. Can't see nothing, boy, lost in his mind. Trapped in the world where the truth is a lie. If you live in your head when you already died. Funeral and everything, everybody cries. Back to the sea, baby, ain't no life. Back to the darkness, ain't no life, no life, no living, no way to survive. Man, just listen, you living inside of eating, bro. See, that's your body. You are the light, internal glow. Listen to your father, and he will tell you where to go. They knowledge evil, think that you under mind control. So, only truth around here. If they don't get that, it's just as simple as this. This world is sick and twisted. If they don't get that, it's just as simple as this. There's no escaping this shit. If you don't see that, look at the kids shot racking while they follow so quick. Father, tell them, Sound to the east, sound to the west.
Oh no, here we go.
Sound to the north, sound to the south.
You hear that trumpet blow?
Sound to the east, sound to the west.
Oh no, here we go.
Sound to the north, sound to the south.
You hear that trumpet blow?
So pure, I flow, old in the mother. Got that truth from my father. Hakuna Matata, ain't no fear over here. See those angels over water, make that clear. Listen here, ain't the ones that slept with daughters. Yeah, yeah. The ain't the ones y'all call gods and goddess. Yeah, yeah. The ain't the fallen ones with that knowledge. Yeah, yeah. The technology is illogic. Yeah, yeah. They sold your ass and death and you bought it. Oh no, down the rabbit hole you go, you sold, sold, sold for pieces gold. Woo. The body had it, sold, you glow, 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 glow.
Welcome to AZ and the No on Icon Radio. This is your boy Larvell S. Dot Wit. Don't forget the S. Dot. And then we got your man Floyd. Floyd, what's going on, Floyd?
What's up? What's up? This is your boy Floyd. AZ in the know.
Welcome back to another week here. And we've had a very interesting week.
Oh man,
Definitely a lot going on in the news, but
lots.
we're going to step away from that for this week. Because you know what they say, when they go low, we're going to go high.
That's right. That's right. That's how you do it.
So we hope that the President of the United States, Donald Trump, gets well, him and his family.
Most
Send all the love and shots out. We're going to leave it at that.
Sure.
All right. Now, who do we have in the studio today?
Man, I am so honored. Whew, I get to introduce our studio guest today.
Yes, sir.
All right. So we have Mr. Leo Anderson, Director Operation of Fox Corporation.
All right.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Gentlemen, thank you for having me.
Oh, you're welcome.
I'm excited. Let's have fun today.
Yes,
Let's
sir.
have some
Let's have
fun.
fun today.
That's how we do it.
That's right.
What brings you to Phoenix, Arizona?
So, funny story. So,
See, what happened was.
That's right. Actually, it's a good thing. So, at least my journey thus far is I work with Fox. And so, actually, I was in Houston for 2 years and got a promotion. Fox is actually building a brand new facility
Okay.
in Tempe. And so I got tapped to be part of the leadership team. And so that brought me to Houston, or excuse me, to Phoenix.
Phoenix, Arizona.
Phoenix, yeah, along with everybody else. Just FYI, I'm not from Chicago. I'm not from Detroit. It seems like everybody's from Chicago.
Chicago.
Right?
That man
There it is.
I'm just saying, I'm from Chicago. It is what it is. Chi-Town, baby, Southside representative.
Yeah.
No, everybody is. That's why I love Arizona now, because it's such a diverse culture now.
Sure.
It literally 20 years. I've just seen the change. I've only been here 10. I came here when I was like 19.
Sure.
And I've seen just from the times I've been here, the change from when it was like barely anything to now it's like fifth largest is booming. So just to have even you come here with Fox, and it just shows you the direction
Yeah.
that Phoenix is going.
I've heard people echo just that. They said in the
Yeah.
past 5 years or 10 years, it's changed so much. And so I'm glad that I can do my part. I'm excited to be part of the community, and I'm excited to give back to my community, and I'm ready to go to work.
Let's do some work.
Ready to go to work.
Especially now, there's in this community here, we talk about it a lot, how a lot of African Americans are starting to come up. So even in politics, we have like people like Tim C running for mayor. If he gets it here, he'll be the first African American mayor here in Phoenix. We have people like O.D. Harris. O.D. Harris is now the city council for Chandler.
Yeah.
These are big moves.
The mayor of Tempe. I
Yes.
think he's black as well.
Yes.
Corey
Timmy.
Woods.
Corey
That's right.
Woods.
Yeah.
Yep. So yeah.
Yeah. So it's good. I haven't been here for 10 years, but I've been for 3 months. Actually, the funny story is that I got here in January, and with Fox, we do a lot with the live events. And so of course, we worked the Super Bowl, and then my last event was the Big Ten tournament and the Big East tournament.
Okay.
As you guys probably know, they got canceled mid
Yeah.
conference, and so I took the opportunity to go back to Kansas City, and so I literally got back 2 weeks ago. So I've been gone for 6 months. So
Oh wow.
Working. Hey, I see working.
I've been working, so it's good. So I'm ready. I'm here now, and so I'm ready to get to work. So I'm excited that you guys have me here. I'm excited to go through your notes here and answer whatever I can answer. Right. So let's
You know,
have
Floyd
fun
is
doing
getting it. There, he put it together now.
Wow. So what is the let's go ahead. Yeah, let's dive right into this. What is your take when we talk about a gap amongst the African American community?
In the workplace or just period overall?
Overall.
I think the gap is, and this is something that probably in the past 5 years is that I think you mentioned, is that once you get to a certain level, you think it's all about you. You've arrived, right? And the gap is not having the mentality, okay, it's time for me to give back.
Okay.
It's time for me to give back. And I come from the standpoint it's time for me to give back because, especially being in technology, I've always been the only one in the room.
Yeah.
I have always been the only one in the room, and I've never had a mentor. I literally got a mentor 2 years ago, right? And so talking to him and looking back and reflecting on my journey is like, I don't want anybody, any person of color, to go through the exact same thing in my 20 plus years in this industry, to go through what I went through. So that is a huge gap, is that, hey, you get to a certain point right now, is your responsibility to give back and bring out and extend that hand. And I'm at a position right now within Fox, and being deliberate and purposeful is like, look, I want to bring in people of color, like, you know, men and women to Fox, and so we can have a diverse and inclusive organization.
Okay.
I have the ability to do that. And so we need to change the gap. Is not necessarily those trying to come up, right, straight out of college or whatever, high school, what have you. It's up to us, that positions of power, to reach back and give back and pull up.
Because just from what you said, how, you know, trying to come here to Arizona to do things like that, we just had an incident. Floyd, I know you know about this with the radio station, and I believe it was, 98.3. They had the disc jockey. He tried to bring the same, it was just exactly what you're saying, trying to bring more African-American type shows kind of like this, or more talk radios on, you know, mainstream radio. And they said no. They flat out said no, and he quit. This made just, you know, national news just a few weeks ago. He quit. He said, you know, I can't be a part of an organization that doesn't even want to try.
Yeah.
So, yeah, no, thank you.
So, you know, and I told that person, then what? Right? And so if you're not in a position of power, right, so start your own radio station. I give you guys credit for what you're doing. Be in a position of power and influence where, hey, you make the decisions. That's where the power comes from. And again, my light switch kind of went on probably 4 or 5 years ago. It was like, okay, yeah, I am purposeful in trying to do what I want to do. Absolutely. So it's funny. I think when I first got here, just trying to make a general introduction to the community, you know, saying that, hey, I'm new to the area, I work for Fox, and this is what I want to do. I was inundated with responses, because what I'm hearing from the folks from the comments, or hearing folks that I've talked to outside of that, is that this is not common. Right, so I guess the question to you guys that being here is just like, why is that not common? That could be a gap, right? It could be a gap specifically in Phoenix. It's like, you know, is that not the culture? Is that not the mindset that, hey, you know, you're in a position of power? I know there's folks here, people of color, right? You know, from, you know, sports, or like I said, from government. Are they doing the same thing, or is that a gap?
Interesting.
Wow. What would you say about that?
Now, as far as the gap, there's always going to be a gap. You know what? I looked up something before I came in here, and I was looking up just what we're talking about now, and it was 2 things that kept coming up: voting and jail. This is why there's a disenfranchisement, or you know, when it comes to us in United States of America, or however you want to say it. They want to fill the jails. They don't want us to be equal. It's just facts. So my thing is, when I tried to look up in media, or I tried to look up in politics, or I tried to look up in sports, it was literally the same two things kept popping up in each single one: jail, voting. So what is it that they're really afraid of?
Well, in my opinion, now when it comes to the jail, okay. So when you're talking about jail, you have when you get rid of black male, when you put them in jail and stuff, then they're out of the way. They're not any they're not any threat to them in their eyes. They're not around to do anything. Okay, so they can't make a good living for themselves if they're in jail. Okay, so yeah, I mean that's been going on for centuries. They've put black African American men in jail for that very reason, to get them out the way.
That's because they couldn't put us in slave holes, or have us on the plantation. That's really
because
why.
one thing about it, we're a threat to in their eyes. We are a threat. Okay, and so when you have dominant men doing what they're supposed to do out there, making a living, trying to get ahead in life, the right way, and stuff like that, and you rise up to a power level and stuff, oh no, they will do everything they can just to keep you down.
Can I tell you a story?
Yes, sir.
As we're talking about the career and where I am right now, it's come with issues. My previous position at a very large Fortune 50 company here in America, I had a boss, and so my team was dispersed across the country, and we met in Atlanta for a meeting with a large vendor. And so thought everything was great. It was a great week of meetings, and 3 to 4 months later, right, I got a call from one of my coworkers, and he said, "This is something that I've been sitting on for 3 or 4 months, but I had to tell you." And the conversation is my VP said that if he knew if I was black, he would never have hired me.
Oh, wow.
If he knew I was black, he would never have hired me. Wow. Right. And so
your experience just was excellent. That they didn't even look at the face. They say, "Oh," but then, wow.
And so,
wow.
My naivety is like, look, I'll let my accomplishments speak for itself.
Yeah.
Above and beyond the color of my skin. But again, I wasn't at a quote unquote position of power, right? Sight unseen, he looked at my accomplishments, which obviously what we want to do. We don't want any special treatment, right? This is what I accomplished, right? I can help your team, right? Tough environment dealing with him in terms of my performance reviews. He started making, I had receipts.
Yeah,
I
got
my
the receipts.
I call it the X files.
Have the
right?
receipts.
And so, literally 2 to 3 times, he had to rescind that. My performance is like, well, now that's making sense. But I think you guys are probably the second, people that I've actually told. Is that that took me back, and I think that was my light switch moment. It's just like, look, I was thinking it's just about me. I was thinking that what those words on the resume define me, right? But hey, it took me back, and again, I'm thankful that it happened. That someone says, hey, you're still black, like the Jay-Z song, right? The story of OJ, right?
Yeah.
I am still black.
It's a powerful song.
Right, I am still black, and that it really resonates to me. So that was my light switch moment. So it's like, look, when I get there, this is what I'm going to do. This is how I will do it, because I've learned this is not the right way to do it, and this is the right way to do it. That was a defining moment for me in my professional career.
I just want to say something right quick. This is the second time we done had something like that on this show being spoken. O.D. Harris, city councilman, remember he came in here and said the same thing. He was battling at the time. Did he want to put his face, his black face, on the flyers while he's running for office? He was just going to, like everybody else, just put the name. Mind you, he's in the city like Chandler. So, should I put my black face on the flyers or, and on the ballots? So he talked to his wife. I think he said his wife was a real inspiration to, you know what, just do it. And he did it, and he won. And he didn't think that his blackface was going to get him, he thought it was going to go a whole different way.
Yeah. Guess what?
So that's the second time.
It happened to me.
Yeah.
But the other way.
Yeah.
Back in Kansas City, I ran for a school board, and actually I was a school board president for 6 years. Accomplished great things.
Yes, sir.
Right? never put my face on any literature in the 6 years. And so I was not going to run again, but administration, teachers, the community says, "Hey, you need to run again." I said, "Okay, I'll do it," right? Because we've done some great things. We want to do some new high school. We did X, Y, and Z. I struggle with the exact same thing. I said, "Okay, they know who I am. They know Leo Anderson, right?" And I put my face on the literature, right? And it turned out the other way. To the fact that the mayor of a neighboring city, still the same polling. They told me the day I was at a polling station, and they told me that folks said they will not vote for me because I'm a black guy, and I did not win.
Wow.
I did not win.
We can hear this story over and
folks
over.
assumed that I was going to win because I did great things. I was school board president, etc. But no, the color of my skin defined who I was, not my accomplishments.
We say over and over again that people don't believe us, that when we're raised as African Americans, especially males, we're raised a whole different type of way where we have to be 10 times better than the next person. We have to be 10 times better, 10 times faster, 10 times stronger. You got to be 10 times smarter because you being 10 times is that one level for them.
Yeah.
It shouldn't be that way.
Yeah. And it's true. Being the only person in the room is that, yes, that was my mindset, that I had to be not necessarily carrying the mantle, but I had to be 10 times better.
Yeah.
Because folks are looking for you to make that slip. Right. So I had to remove any and all excuses. They were watching. Looking back, they actually were watching. So I had to navigate through that, and I'm glad it happened. I'm glad it happened because it's prepared me to where I am right now, and I'm so thankful that I had to go through that, where I can tell these stories to you guys and your listening audience. It's like, look, yes, you can be learned, you can have this degree, certifications, background, patents, etc., but you're still viewed as a person of color, and you still have to fight. You still have to fight. And so still navigating, still, carrying that mantle now to my senior leadership all the way to, the CTO within Fox. So it's like, look, I demand this is what we need, right? I demand this is what we want, to have a diverse and inclusive background here in Phoenix. Will you support me? Yeah, period. And so it's, not at risk of, hey, who is this guy? But it's like, no, I'm intentional. And I'm fighting at risk of my professional career. This is important. To the point now within Fox is that, yes, we have a mandate having a diversity and inclusion council, inclusive of the senior leadership within Fox. Folks think that Fox that's just Fox News. That's just one division. But Fox as a corporation, we are starting that journey to have that diversity and inclusion company, period. And they're very purposeful, and I'm glad to be part of that council to actually define that.
Yeah, that's funny that you mentioned that because, everybody thinks that way. It's like, we can watch Fox. I like watching The Simpsons. I like watching Fox Sports. But that Fox News.
Right, I know, right?
That Fox News, though.
It pays the bills.
Right.
It pays the bills. Oh,
Absolutely.
man. But, yeah, no, I love Fox Sports. I love The Simpsons, things like that, all the cartoons. We grew up on that. That's like our childhood. That's like Fox. It's been around.
Yeah, absolutely. Hopefully you enjoy the games tomorrow. If not, that means I'm not doing my job. So
it's all about the Bears, man.
I don't see. It's always been about the Cardinals.
It's always been about the Cardinals.
And
I just want to see Nick Foles do something tomorrow. Like we should have put Nick Foles at. What's your team?
I'm from Kansas City.
Ooh.
Born and raised. I'm born and raised, absolutely. So I'm still. I'm on that high, absolutely.
I'm
I ain't
mad
come
at
down
y'all,
yet.
man.
We haven't lost in 12 games, but who's counting, right?
Mahomes, man. Y'all did so well. Y'all did so good with that. Y'all did so good.
But we're humble.
Yeah. So what is the whole thing about when we go through life and we try to accomplish our portfolio, our money, and as we know from centuries ago, it's always been black here, white here when it comes to the income.
Yeah.
And so as we strive to get there and everything, and we do need help along the way, but that help is always like from a white person instead of a black person.
Great white hope.
Yeah.
And it's always, it's like every time a black person reach out to another black person for help,
They don't trust them.
you know,
Yeah.
and it's like wow, okay, why is that? Why do we have to go through that?
It's I won't say institutional, but it is. We for whatever reason we don't trust our own people, and that's where the power comes from. If you look at the Jewish community, everything stays within the Jewish
yes.
community.
Yes.
You look at the Asian community, everything stays within and trust within the Asian community, right? I can keep going to Middle Eastern, exact same thing. In each three of those, right, there's powers and numbers and there's power. Their money stays within that circle, right?
Yes, sir.
It's difficult for us to get outside of that thinking that we can trust. Trust you to do what you want to say you're going to do, right? And a lot of that's based upon, the delusion of the family. It's just we don't trust our own family, let alone trust somebody on the outside, right? And so it's my personal feeling. I hope we get there. That inequality will always be there. My concern is that we won't get there. We have some catching up to do. To your point is that something that I asked myself, back in Kansas City, I live in a nice neighborhood, golf course, lake, etc.
Okay,
right?
okay.
And so I always ask, there's a lot of stay-at-home wives, right? And I was just like, look, I know my resume. I know I'm making more than that guy. So how in the world can he do what he's doing, living on the lake, and she's staying at home, right? Not being envious, it's just more of asking that question. The answer is that, you have generational wealth.
Yes.
Right, where, they had, coming back from the war, you have the GI Bill, right? They have homes and property, which we were denied, right? That's equity. That's generational equity that they go from generation to generation to generation. We're playing catch up, being the first time homeowners, owning land, owning stocks, what have you. We're playing catch up. Right, and so we still have to deal with institutions of the financial standpoint, inclusive of ourselves, and so we're fighting that uphill battle.
Tulsa, Oklahoma.
It's Tulsa, Oklahoma. Absolutely. Even Kansas City, they call it. There's a road in Kansas City called Troost. Right, east of Troost is you can literally drive down. You can see the disparity between one side of the street. Right, redlining.
Yeah, redlining. Yes.
Right. You can typically see it, and so that was something that was institution in terms of what you could do, where you could live, etc. Generations, Jim Crow, etc. And so from federal government all the way down to municipalities, there were laws put in place that did not allow us to own, right, to grow generational wealth, and so that's the wealth gap, right? Still fighting with it. Even though you think you're there, that's, you still have some time to go, right? And it's funny that you say that, a lot of, quote unquote, racial things in my neighborhood, pretty, upper middle class neighborhood. To the person, they always ask me one question. Guess what they ask me? So what do you do? Right, little dog.
What do you tell them?
I've got to the point to ask why. Why do you ask? Why are you asking?
Because they're probably not going to ask, a fellow, white person that same thing. They're not going to say, hey,
to the
what
point
do you
where
do?
they had my son's grown and gone, but they were asking my son, so what does your dad do? Because they're asking, they know what it takes to be in this particular neighborhood, right? So how in the world can you be in this neighborhood? Right, and so I thought it was just like, no, this is just something that's like, no. If they can ask my son and they can continue to ask the exact same question, that's something that they know that, we have some work to do. There's disparity. So they can say, hey, if you got what I got, what did you do to close that gap? They understand the gap is there, and we're still fighting that gap. That's that question, what do you do? Right.
See, that's one thing.
That was my life growing up in the 80s, because I grew up in a well-to-do neighborhood, and I saw that too as a kid. I was one of the first black kids on the block. My dad was the first African American firefighter for the city of Hazelcrest. You know, it was like political. I literally was one of those kids. You know who my daddy is? It got me out of so much trouble. It got me out of so much trouble.
Yeah.
You know who my daddy is? Not everybody had that though.
Yeah.
But you know, it is a difference when you're in those type of neighborhoods. And you're right. I got stopped one time, pulled over by the police. I was sitting at a light. It was red light. Then the light turns green and we go. The cop is just sitting behind me. I get pulled over just because, is this your car? Are you sure this is your car?
I got that stop too, where, hey, you were weaving because a black man's driving a BMW.
Yeah.
You were weaving. And so happened that they knew who I was. Okay, thank you. Right. And so, who knows what, another person, but yeah, I've been there. I've done that. I'm just now reflecting the past 2 years, gentlemen, that it's like, okay, I've gone through some things and I've never really reflected on what's happened to me just in the recent history right now that's, prepared me to where I am right now. So you talk about gaps, I'm intentional in closing those gaps. I'm intentional to, break down those gaps. Very intentional. So happened that I'm here in Phoenix.
And wouldn't that also include education? Of having the education in some points, to even close the gap, we got to have some type of education.
You do, but I found out, at least on the school board, is that have an education, outside or above and beyond high school, a trade, military is not necessarily college, right? I've learned that that's you can be just as successful to be a lifelong learner. Right, not necessarily going to college. My son is in the Air Force. My son's traveled multiple countries in the 2 years, 3 years he's been in. And if I knew what I knew now, what he's being afforded in the Air Force, I probably would have and should have gone into the Air Force. Right. My grandfather was Army. My dad was Army. I went to college. My son's in the Air Force, so I was the dumb one.
Yeah.
Right. I was the dumb one. But yeah, there is, as you talk about that gap, having a degree, a bachelor's degree was the norm. Now MBAs are becoming norms now. I'm working on just getting my people in the door, and then I will teach you.
Nice.
And then once you get your foot in the door, that's where you gain that experience.
Right.
That's what we need to do is
That's
get
what we're
that
talking about.
foot in the door, not necessarily focus on the education. It's critical, but do you have the aptitude? Do you have the want to do that particular job? Do you have a passion to do with your job? Once I get you in the door, I'll train you. Because the majority of the time, once you get inside, there's a foundation of what you need to learn. But once you get into any company, right, they will train you to do exactly how they want you to do it.
Right.
Their way.
Right. And so how much, 4 to 5 years, I'm guilty, 5 years of college in engineering, right, to teach me is very little. I'll be transparent, very little that I've learned, right, in my 20 plus years of career that I've used in, engineering, that I've used in my professional career, right. What's driving me is the passion to do what I do. I would do it for free, and that's got me through. I'm on equal footings that, doing patents, et cetera, folks with, doctors, PhDs before and after their names, right. I'm doing the exact same thing.
It's always good to do what you love. And then it's not like work.
It's purpose in your passion.
Purpose in your passion.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like one of those things when we had started the show, AZ and No, when we first started it. And it was one of those things that it was like, it was something we wanted to do, but then it was like, how do we get this going? How do we get it started, And then once we came together, we started talking about it. And then we went to AZTV.
AZTV 7.
AZTV 7. And talked to them and everything. And they were like, told them the whole platform of it and everything. And Scott was his name.
Scott.
Yeah. And he was like, okay. He's like, yeah. Let's go ahead. Let's get this started. Let's get started. But the thing is, now, when you first walk in that building, and you walk around, they give you a tour, and you walk around, everybody in that place, we were the only black folks in there.
That was it.
Welcome to the club.
That was it.
And I was like, wow.
And that's why they were trying to jump on getting us, because we were actually bringing them sustenance to their network.
You're checking the box for them.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Exactly.
You're checking the box.
And after that, we brought them two other TV shows, like spinoff of ours. That same thing, and they were able to be successful in their TV shows, just from our TV show coming on there. Yes, that was a beautiful thing.
Yeah, I mean, I credit the both of you because there's a book called the War of Art, not the Art of War by Tung Tzu.
Okay.
And there's a saying is about motivation and passion, and there's a key. There's the resistance. You know what you want to do. You know the end game. Because what's keeping you from point A to point Z is the resistance. Are you willing to fight through that resistance to get to you where you want it? That's what they call a violinist or a pianist, right? They want to compose. They want to learn how, right? But when you wake up every day, are you willing to practice and do what you need to do to become a pianist, violinist, or radio host, right? And so that's the portion that we need to fight is that resistance. Yeah. I'm talking to myself. Is that resistance? I'm the chief procrastinator. Guilty as charged.
Oh
right?
man,
I know I am. But you know what? I think I work better under pressure. For some reason, I work better under pressure.
And I agree. And I tell my boss, it's like keep putting on my plate. I'll tell you when to stop. But I call it chaos management. If I'm not busy, if I'm not juggling multiple things, that means I'm not, I don't feel that I'm doing enough, right? So I'll let you know when to stop. But I thrive in chaos. Chaos management is what I call it. So if my desk is too clean, that means something's wrong. Something's wrong. So I like juggling that. So, but it is a passion of mine, and from wireless to TV to broadcasting now, seems a little bit different, but it's a passion. There's a thread there in terms of what I want to do and how I want to do it, and it's got me this far.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
oh man, that's great. Yeah. See, this information is like it's like one of those things that the world that's in that needs to know this. There's some black young folks out there that really need to understand and need to know this information.
And they can hear it right here on AZ in the Know on Icon Radio every Saturday from 5 to 7.
AZ in the know.
And that's true because they don't see. I didn't see me going through my career. I didn't see me, and so having young black men and women, seeing people of influence, people of power, just like this is what they're doing.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
And again, it's on us, not necessarily on them, right? Because they don't think that we exist until we present ourselves.
Like we're here too.
Right. And so it's like, yes, this is, and again, I get the chance to open up my network because there's folks, and again, I'm starting all over here in Phoenix here, but I'm trying to grow my network within Phoenix. You mentioned some of the government institutions, obviously, when technical standpoint, folks within Bank of America, Amex, etc. So like, I'm trying to grow my network to have a common mindset that we can give back, reach back. We're talking about doing a partnership with ASU, and it's like, okay, there's other high schools or other clubs, etc. that we need to at early. It's a lot easier doing it early when they see folks like us, right?
Got to go to these elementary schools.
Absolutely. So it's like, this is what I do, right? You may not see, but if you're looking at, I always tell folks all the time, one of my patents is like, you use my patent every single day. If you get on the internet on your phone, that's Leo Anderson.
Oh wow!
Right. I helped develop that. Mobile wireless is what we call it back in 1999, year 2000.
Well, thank you. I like it. I love it. I'm on it every day.
It's a lot smaller than what we tested out with in San Diego, but so is hearing that journey and that ride to let them know that I look like you, right? And this is my journey, and I'm willing to help. That's a passion of mine. That's the purpose of my passion, right? So I'm not focused on, yes, there's what's in front of me, but I'm looking at, okay, this is how I can get back. And that's where I'm getting the satisfaction from, is trying to get back and pull up and not having folks go through what I went through. Having that conversation that, you can't do this because you're black, regardless of how degreed you are. And so, like, look, we're going to remove all of that. Excuse me. We're going to remove all of that, and it's just like, okay, this is what we're going to do for you. Right.
See, and that's one thing about it too. It's like, and I do applaud you for wanting to give back and wanting to do, but then you have someone over here, who has the same outlet, the same ability, and not even thinking about doing that, Or they'll say, okay, well, come look me up or come talk to me, and they be like, go. They say that, but then when you do that, they ignore you, or they push you to the side, or they like, oh well, no,
I say it's okay. It's not their journey, right? They haven't. I say it's not their journey. They haven't, whatever it is, there's a reason, why they're doing or saying. And again, it wasn't mine either. I was one of those.
Yeah.
Because I was focused on Leo. I was focused on building my resume, right? Until something happened to me, right? Having those words that, hey, if I knew you were black. And that was a light switch moment for me where, okay, my focus for is not resume building but to build others up, right? So it's okay if that, we should be okay if that, they don't want to, or they're not a person of the word. I look at it as that, their journey is not done yet, right? Or it's not part of their journey, right? Other people are willing to pay that, to lift that mantle, right? Black and white, right? And so it's just like, it is what it is. You're just going on. And so, don't get stopped or bogged down by one person. There's an abundance of people that think are on the same journey that I am, that have, just as much as influence, right? You just need to find those people, build that network, and say, hey, this is what we need to do.
Because a common thing I've heard so far, which I love, is reaching back, giving back, however you can do it. No matter what field you're in, give back, reach back, because we need the, like you said, the next generation to come up and actually see it. Because most times, most African American males, all they see is the thugs, the gangsters, the stuff like that, the kingpin. That's what they see in the streets. That's what they see, a product of your environment. So we do need to give back. Go back to these communities. Say, hey, I made it out, or I may not even been here, but guess what? You can make it here too.
Yeah, I mean, it's my job as a father, and I look at it, just not just my career, but speaking about family, right, and generations. That, my job was to make certain that my son had it better than I did.
Of course.
And that was my primary focus. I was kind of hard on him, but he looked back and says, like, I understand why you were doing. I understand why you said what you said, because I was preparing him to have a lot better than I have. I grew up on government cheese. I didn't know I didn't know any better. It was just a block of cheese that we put beneath the broiler, right?
Hey.
Sugar
I didn't
sandwiches,
know what that
right?
was. I'm
Yeah,
sorry.
I didn't know any difference, and so, I had to keep him grounded because he's in the suburbs, golf course and lake, right? He had no idea or comprehension of what that is, right? His thing is that, hey, Samurai Jack wasn't on TV, right? So,
Wait, Samurai Jack,
right? And so I had to keep, and so I'm using, my scars to teach him. It's just like, matter of fact, that's how I got on the school board, because he was in this suburban school district, and it's just like, hey, I can kind of do what I want. It's just like, look, we're living in this community for a reason, to make certain that you had it better than I did, right? And so having that conversation with my son the next day, I put my name on the ballot on the school board, because it was important to me to let him understand how important and why I'm doing what I'm doing, right? And so, that's, led me now, a different journey, right? But, he understood exactly what I was trying to do as a parent. All right.
Oh man.
As long as he knows, that's all that matters. I got teenagers right now. I can't wait till my son say that. It's like, I'm in the teenage years right now. I'm in the teenage years.
Everyone has that light switch moment, and I've always told him, when he was still there, is just like, you don't understand it now, but you'll have that light switch moment where everything will come into view.
I had it. I know exactly what you're talking about, but I'll be real honest with you. I was about 30 years old.
It's okay. When we talk about that journey, you'll get to that road where, okay, it clicks, right? This is what I'm supposed to do, or this is my journey. This is what I need to do. All of the above, that light switch moment that comes on, it's like, Okay, I understand now, right? And so, just being in, I never would have thought, I always kept my home in Kansas City, but I've traveled the world, right? So I never thought, before I came here, I was in Houston. It's like, okay, God has me here for a reason, okay? And he did some great things. We did some great things in Houston. Now I'm in Phoenix. So all that Kansas City, traveling the world, Houston, now Phoenix has prepared me for now. I was looking at this. I've never been on a radio show before. I've never been on podcast before. And so just doing that has just been, I won't say overwhelming, but it's clicking as the light switch, okay? Everything that's prepared me is to, prepare me for today, right? To whoever your audience is. It's like, look, you got somebody in the community is ready to go to work. And this is what I'm doing to use my influence to give back.
To all the millions of followers, you guys hear him. He is ready to go to work. I love it. Out there, we're ready to go to work right along with you. It's always something to do in the community.
Absolutely.
Always something to do in the community. Just like us, we have other things going on. I do deal with the NAACP. We work with other people in communities. It's we're always got to do something, no matter what you do. We do a lot of, just like with fraternities, we do a lot of outreach, and you have to.
Yeah.
As often as you can. We're not saying just go out and just do it as often as you can.
Yeah. Again, it's you got to keep that balance. I understand I'm very, very, very busy, but you got to be purposeful in what you do and how you do it. So yeah, find that balance, because it will, you'll get burnt out. And I've gone through that as well. But again, one thing that I've learned is it's okay to fail. And I tell my people all the time, it's okay
to learn.
Yeah, it's okay to fail, right? And that's how we grow, and that's how we learn. And so I failed multiple times. Oh, I can tell you some stories. But yeah, right. But again, it's part of, as long as you keep the eyes on the prize, quote unquote, right? And so it's okay. There was a quote I just recently stumbled upon, is that if you focus on the past, you'll forget your path. Right? If you focus on the past, you'll forget your path.
Some deep stuff right there.
You're always looking back, right? Have you ever tried to walk forward while looking back?
Can't do it.
You're going to get off. You can do it, but you're going to go left or right. You're not going to stay on that path, that straight and narrow, what you want to do, that being your purpose, right? So keep looking forward and be mindful of your purpose, right? And stop looking back on your past.
That's what we like to hear here on Asian to Know. Some knowledge being dropped. Did y'all hear that? It was just knowledge after knowledge after knowledge. They boom.
Mic drop.
Boom. No, I love it. I love it. We got to have more of that in here. That's what we're all about.
Oh man.
And
What is it? You know what though? Okay. This whole thing. I want to talk about unemployment. Who is? If you don't, you might not know it, but
I'll try.
who do you think is the top race on unemployment?
It is the melanin challenged, right?
yeah, Caucasians.
24 to 37, I believe, is the demographic. Yeah.
But they try to portray it like it's us.
That's what I'm not getting. I'm like, whoa, wait a minute. It's like, okay.
Now, who's they? Let me ask you, who's they? Sir, what kind of
People in power. That's what I say.
People in power.
People in power.
Yeah.
Yes.
The powers that be, the government.
The government.
Yeah. It whose fault is that? Is it do we dwell on that, or do we do what we need to do and focus on our path?
Because it goes back, right?
Yeah.
Right. I mean, that's tertiary stuff. That's in stuff that's happening that will keep you away from what you need to do. And there was a thing in the fraternity that excuses are tools of incompetence. They build bridges to nowhere.
Yeah.
Right. So do we use the unemployment and what the government thinks or what this poll thinks? Right. Will keep me away from my purpose. Right. I'm a data guy. What does the data say? Right. And then I'll lead with data if and when you want to have that conversation. Right. I love having debates. About politics. But I don't bring it up. But again, I'll use facts and I use data to have that conversation if and when they want to have the conversation, right? But at the same time, I purposely don't look at TV. I don't look at news. Even though I work for Fox News.
I've heard that a lot from people that work in the industry or people in media. They actually don't watch a lot of TV.
I do not. To me, it's content, right? It's just content, right? It's not a football game. It's not Sean Hannity. It's not The Simpsons, right? It's content to me.
Yes.
So when I leave work, I don't look at TV, right? And so it's a distraction. When I put that post on Facebook, it was just more of from a group standpoint. But I urge people that you need to get on LinkedIn. I'll respond on LinkedIn. Facebook is just a means just to stay connected, but I don't use it as a distraction. I use LinkedIn to grow my network, right? To get to know people, to build the network, to ultimately help me. Being a little selfish, but at the same time, as part of my purpose, that I can use this particular resource to help and to give back, right? Even from I've helped a young lady here in the city that to get a job in Houston, right? Based upon HR contact that I had in Houston.
Yeah.
There's a young lady that's here that got a job in LA based upon the contacts I had in LA. And I made certain with them, it's like, this is why you need to build your network, not on Instagram, not on Facebook, but on LinkedIn, right? That's how you grow your network. And then I got another nugget for you, is that, you've heard the saying that is not what you know, but who you know.
Oh,
But
yes.
there's a third part that people leave out, is do they know you?
Oh.
It's not what you know, but who you know.
But do they know you?
But do they know you?
Wow.
Right? So, am I willing to, you know me, right? But am I willing to put my network or extend my network out to you to help you? Right? So it's your job to make certain that this is who I am. This is what I can provide for you, right? I need help, but this is what I'm all about. And that's where your job is, to make certain that if you want something from X, Y, and Z, you got to make certain that they know exactly who you are, right?
Y'all hear him, right? Y'all listening?
Man, I mean, because over years and years and years, we get to that whole point. It's not what you know, who you know. It's always been in our minds.
Yeah.
And everything, but we never thought about, do they know
you? Right.
You know?
My leaving my previous company when that incident happened, my job at Fox was based upon folks that knew me, had no idea about this particular job in Houston, and they connected the dots for me. Hey, Leo, we understand there's a job opening in Fox in Houston. We think that you would be a perfect fit for it. You should apply for it. And that's how I got to Houston, right? You got other folks within your network that knew you, right, that know what's happening within the industry, and they connected the dots for me without me even looking, right? So not what you know, but who you know, but do they know you? That's the critical people that folks don't realize.
I'm put that on my shirt.
That's gonna be the new slogan. But do they know you?
Oh man, that's good. I like that.
We're gonna do something like that. New AZ and no shirts.
Who you know? No,
He's about to be stuck on that for the rest of the night. He's gonna be stuck on it. That's okay.
It's like all in my head right now. It's like, oh man.
And that's a key component that folks miss all the time, is do they know you? So I'm all about having not just a professional relationship, but do I really know you? So the folks that I know what they do at their particular company, but I want to know where their sons and daughters win their soccer game or softball game or basketball game, and I do that with my people as well. You're here for a reason. I trust you to do your job, but I want to know what can I go to? Having you over to the house, we can have some barbecue. I'm from Kansas City, so
It's all about that barbecue.
gotta have that barbecue, right? Some burn-ins, right? But I want to get to know you, right? And that will give me a full picture of who you are, not just the 9 to 5. That's just just a microcosm. I want to get to know you, and so that's gotten me where I am here. As a matter of fact, being tapped to be here, but it was someone within Fox in Houston that knew about guess the infancy of what we're trying to do here in Phoenix. It's like, Leo, you need to contact XYZ. You should do this. I wouldn't think I was face down, right, doing what I was doing.
So,
Right.
do you feel like this is something that you're going to be? Is this something that they have you doing, like going to state to state to state to build up each state?
I want to say no. I want to say no.
Okay.
But I think what we're doing here is, it could, I won't say yes or no because I don't know that answer to it. Like I said, I'm supposed to be everywhere but Kansas City. I'm supposed to be in San
missed that barbecue.
Antonio. I'm supposed to be in San Diego, Atlanta, Philadelphia, Seattle, Hong Kong, South Korea, Paris. I can keep going on, but I've always kept my base in Kansas City. So I get that asked all the time. It's like, is Houston going to be the spot? Is Phoenix going to be? I simply don't know. I don't know if Fox is going to be the last place. It's funny. Then the 6 weeks or 6 months I was away when I left Phoenix back to Kansas City, I was approached by another person that knew me, and there was a CTO, Chief Technology Officer position at a bank in Kansas City that he thought I would be a good fit for, right? And as we're talking about the whole race thing, is that I turned it down because my mind is that, okay, is this a diversity hire? Are they checking the box, right? Counter that with the opportunity similar to what I have right now, the opportunity where I can go in to bring people that look like me into the bank, right? To be a face, for the banking industry in Kansas City that may not look like me,
Right.
being the only person in the room. I did my homework, and yeah, there was no quote unquote CTOs in any banks, either local or large banks in Kansas City, right? But that was a struggle for me. Is that this is what outweighed is that this is just a diversity hire, and they're just trying to. I understand the strategy. That's part of your strategy, but in the back of my head, it's like I can't take this because I don't trust the reason why they're doing that. And even today, on LinkedIn, you see a lot of people of color being promoted to leadership positions, but usually in HR or diversity and inclusion.
Yeah.
Right. Where's the technology? Where's the finance? Where's the operations? Where's the engineering? Right. And I always ask, what is that brother and sister? What are they thinking? Right. Or are they thinking, they're happy to have it, or are they thinking that, hey, this is a diversity hire and it is where it is? So, when you're at the position, you still got to juggle as to those folks that are quote in power, what they're thinking. My opinion is that it's a lot of uptick of diversity and inclusion, people of color taking those positions. Because a lot of times they circumvented that by hiring women. Women in the government's eyes is considered a minority. So they will hire white women to check that. Now that's changing. They're actually hiring people of color, men and women, into chief diversity officer, or chief inclusion, or head of diversity and inclusion. And so I always ask myself, it's just like, okay, I'm glad that you got it, but back in my mind is that they're just checking the box. It's good marketing, it's good PR that my company is doing this, right? I'd rather be in the background, similar to what I'm doing, right now in Fox, where I can actually challenge my leadership, right? This is what we need to do, right? Hey, there's not just within this council, where are the black people at? We need to get more black people, because I was the only one, there was another VP on it. So like, this is not good, right? We need to get more black people on this council so we can have a more inclusive conversation and inclusive decision making. So it's a never ending thought process that I deal with, but I question that.
That reminds me of actually Tim C., the gentleman running for mayor here. And he said it quite often. He's actually, one of the things he's running on is we need a seat at the table. Nothing's going to happen until you have a seat at the table, any spectrum. Hey, and that's exactly what you've been saying, basically, is we need more people with the seat at the table.
Yeah. I say that, hey, give me the golf clubs.
Yeah.
Right. So a lot of decisions that are made within corporations are happening on the golf. Being in Phoenix, there's a lot of golf courses. Here, right?
Lots of golf courses.
So
I got golf clubs when you're ready.
I have them too.
I do
All
too.
right, let's go.
University of Missouri, you're tagged all over it. But typically, at the table is just the end result, right? Usually those decisions are made at maybe at the folks' homes, right, or on the golf course, right? Boardroom or what have you is usually the after you know secondary thoughts. So give me the clubs, right? I want to be on the golf course and have those conversations, right?
On the what's that? On the
ninth.
on the ninth hole.
19th hole.
Ninth hole.
Yeah.
Oh man. So when what's been getting to me is because I know you were saying like once you get in there, once you get in, it you will train, right? But then some people will get that mindset of saying, well, I mean, I want to do this position, but it's causing it to it's a management position, But then they like, well, maybe nah. I have the experience to do management position, but then it's a new company, so I might not want to do that. I'll do this.
Okay.
What would you say about that?
Do you remember the day when you got behind the wheel of a car?
Ain't thought about that in a long time.
How did you feel?
Scared.
Right. And how do you feel now?
It's like second nature. I don't even think about it.
Yeah.
Good,
Exact same thing. Right. I use that analogy quite a bit. It's just like driving a car or riding a bike. When you first get on or get behind the wheel, you're scared. All your senses are on the height, and you know what's happening here. Should I turn here? And you got so much things to think about, right? Until it becomes second nature, right? The more you do it, right, it becomes second nature, right? To the point where you drive a little bit different than you drive, right? It's all.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah, we definitely drive differently.
Right. So you're not right or you're not wrong, right? It's just the way that you've learned based upon
Chi-town driving.
right? Tolls in Chicago. Right? So it's like driving a car, and so that's why I say you got to have the aptitude and the passion to do, and that goes back to the conversations I have with people. I want to get to know you. I'll let you know if you're right for it, and then I'll do what I can to open up my network. If not, I'll tell you, what you need to do, right? And steer you. So like it doesn't sound what you want to do. It sounds like you want to do this. I can help you.
Yes, sir.
I can help you do that. So
That's awesome. All right. So we're gonna go ahead and wrap this thing up.
it's a pleasure.
On AZ in the Know, and we're with Mr. Leo Anderson.
Thank you for coming out.
Yes,
Thank you
sir.
so much
It's
for
my
being on the
pleasure.
show.
Thank you, gentlemen.
All right.